the charge. You know what I mean? But when it whiffed, he knows that Larry kind of panicked on it, and because there was no block stun, he was given the ability to advance a little bit more. Even arming the focus attack after he whiffed it, because if Larry decided to try to whiff punish with low roundhouse, he'd be able to focus through it. So here the thing is, like, I mean, Larry says this himself in the chat right now. He's playing very good defense. Don't get me wrong, okay? This is really strong defense. But the problem is, against a player like Vi, you cannot give him this much leeway right now. So here comes Vi. He's going in there. And now, because he blocked that headbutt in the last round, and because he got a few little hits in there, he now has the read. He's read the emotion that Larry is very scared. So you can see how Vi is even extra aggressive now. 2 throws in a row. He threw the first time just a while ago, and now he's landed about 5 throws here. Okay, so Vi, and then Larry there with a wake up low short. Probably a crouch tech. That's what he was going for. Caught Vi. Okay, that's all good. But then immediately Vi just never relents on the pressure. He never relents on the pressure. In fact, even after he got hit by low short, he just went right back in it and did low forward. And then boom, 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 boom. About ready to finish him off here. Tries to go for a cross-up hurricane. EX headbutt, doesn't matter. He sweeps it. And again, you see, same situation, right? Tiny chunk of life. How is Larry going to win this match? He's doing the right thing. He knows that in order to win this round, he needs to land headbutt into Ultra. So he goes for the headbutt right there. Unfortunately, Vi had set up the cross-up hurricane. Whether he was trying to dodge the headbutt, who knows? I'm sure he was just going for the cross-up hurricane instead. But still benefits him here anyway. So you can already see right now that Vi has a very strong read. So at this point in time, the question isn't necessarily what Larry is doing wrong. The question is, what is Vi doing right? And Vi has done a lot of things right, and he's gotten a lot of reads. So we're good. Hey man, let me take a step back here and stop for a second. Okay, so we've already established that Vi's got this read that Larry is a more defensive player, you know, not prone to hit a lot of buttons, and that he's not going to take a lot of damage in chunks. Normally when Larry gets his knockdowns and stuff like that, it just hasn't paid off for him as much. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll get into the next round, and then we'll start talking a little bit. And then after we're done with that, we're going to watch the match again one more time. So we'll be right back, guys. So stick around and let me make sure this is correct here. All right, be right back. All right, so I'm back, and once again, NES Larry, thank you again for being so gracious to allow us to examine this match. It's definitely a very good, I mean, it's great to watch this match and also kind of get a read from Vi's perspective as well, to figure out what it is that he's reading from his opponents, to give you an idea of what it is that you're supposed to be seeing and such. And you know, I was talking to Larry on the chat here. You know, he was saying that he was trying to throw out random things at Vi every once in a while, but they all seem to fail, right? And as I mentioned, that headbutt that Vi blocked at that one point looked like a random headbutt, but Vi really kind of played that out. He kind of got Larry to do something in that particular moment. So a lot of the random stuff that Larry is trying to do is less random than Larry even thinks. In other words, he thinks he's throwing something out to test Vi, but the problem is Vi recognizes those situations. He knows those positions. Whenever he's doing the offensive stuff, like when he goes low jab, low strong, he knows Larry can't hit a button in between any of those buttons because he's covering his the holes very well. As soon as he gives himself the biggest gap that he has to walk the furthest or do something, that is the moment that Larry is able to touch a button. Vi knows this as well as anybody else, so he knows the largest chance for someone to do a random move is in that gap. So that is the gap that he is going to be the most careful in and examine that situation. This is not a problem that Larry has. This is something that happens to everybody. In fact, I should do this one of these days. There's a CVS 1 match, the very first CVS 1 Golfland tournament. I put Vi into losers. But then we went into grand finals and he destroyed me. And I'm trying to figure out if I still have those videos. If you watch those videos, one of my friends laughs at me all the time and basically says to me, hey, James, you know if you hold down back, you block sweeps, right? Because Vi literally swept me like 90 times in a row. He swept me so many times. And the whole trick of that was that he knew every moment that I felt like I was free to walk. He felt like he knew every moment where I felt safe enough to try something, and that's when he threw out a sweep. And he caught me with it every time, and it just looked like my down back wasn't working at all because I just got bodied by that, and it looked really sad. So maybe one of these days I can put it up, or maybe I can just put it up on the UltraChenTV channel just for fun, so you guys can see it, see me get bodied. I'll even put up the video where I put Vi in the loser's bracket because it was really good. I played really, really well in that particular match, but then he just read me at the end and he beat me down. So, but let's go back to the match here. We are in game 2. Game 2 of this match. So let's take a look at it and see what more we can glean from this. So we've already established now that Vi has a read, that he has that Larry's a very defensive player, doesn't hit a lot of buttons, and he kind of has his rhythm down pat. So what you're going to see here is Vi. Remember how in the first game Vi said, I'm going to throw fireballs to figure out what Larry's style is, and it's kind of like the safe way to establish it? He already knows now, so he doesn't care anymore, right? So he's just going to push his way in there as much as possible. Oh, actually, he's going fireball crazy now. So he's going fireball crazy, and if you go back just a little bit here, let me go back a little bit here to the start of this match. So let's go back here. And so Vi goes low strong and then fireball again. Okay, so now he's throwing a lot of fireballs here. Now the interesting thing is Larry just couldn't get past 5 fireballs in a row. So at this point in time, Larry has developed something. He says, you know what? These fireballs are bothering me. This is great. This is good. This is exactly what he needs to do. So he comes up with a turnaround punch, right? Vi did not expect it. Ends up blocking the turnaround punch. Now here's the problem. After the turnaround punch, you saw that Larry did nothing. He blocked. So he broke Vi's momentum, but now all of a sudden he's blocking again. But now note something about Vi here. Okay, second time, turnaround punch, goes through. Vi blocks it again. At this point, Vi probably hasn't even picked up on it. But now that he's blocked the second round turnaround punch, something is in his head, is like, something's bothering me. My momentum is being cut off. What is cutting off my momentum here? So he goes back to his game here, throws another fireball. Okay, third time he's blocked the turnaround punch right here. Third time he's blocked the turnaround punch. And you know what he's told himself? I'm never going to let him block the turnaround punch again. I'm never going to let him get away with that turnaround punch again. Next time he throws out a turnaround punch, when I throw a fireball, I'm going to uppercut that turnaround punch. So when I throw a fireball, my brain is on uppercut. I'm going to be thinking uppercut, right? Now watch this. Watch what happens here. He starts playing a fight. Okay, let's throw a fireball. He's thinking uppercut, but he saw Larry got hit, so he's not going to uppercut. Throws a fireball, thinking uppercut. Didn't see Larry go through the fireball, so he's not going to uppercut. Okay, Larry gets over the fireball. So you see Vi is trying to bait out the turnaround punch. So that was great there that Larry changed what he was doing. He jumped forward over it and predicted the fireball because he read that Vi was going a little crazy with the fireball. Unfortunately, drops the combo afterwards. And you are gone. Okay. And so now watch this. Vi throws another fireball. Larry doesn't do anything. But now watch this next fireball here. Fireball, EX rush through, bam, Vi uppercuts it. Now this looks like the most godlike thing ever. Oh, do you guys see my mouse on the screen? Sorry, but, oh, that's cool. Now this looked like the most godlike read ever. He just uppercutted the EX rush, right? And you can even hear this if you guys watch this video. The commentator is like, oh my God, great reaction. That was crazy, right? But what have I just said now? Every time he's throwing a fireball, he's thinking uppercut. All he's trying to see is if Larry gets through it or not. So when he threw that fireball that time and Larry EX rushed through it, he was expecting turnaround punch, but he sees that he went through it. But since his brain is already on uppercut, He can uppercut so fast because it's not a reaction anymore. A lot of people wonder, how do top pros have these reactions? It's because, thanks to those 3 turnaround punches, Vi has already been thinking uppercut after a fireball. So as soon as that happened, he had the uppercut ready to go. He didn't counter what he expected to. Doesn't matter. It was in there. He knows Larry's trying to go through the fireball. So he was able to uppercut it. It looks like godlike reactions. It looks like Vi is just like, whoa, oh my gosh. But you can kind of see now how it's really not. Vi is not any more superhuman than the rest of us. He's just played these games a lot and he knows the strategies. So he's uppercutted this here and he knows he can get those free jump-ins. He's trying to go in there. Okay, good. So Larry now is playing good here. He got a couple of those crouch jabs to trade and then he caught Vi with a sweep. And as soon as he caught Vi with the sweep, unfortunately, blocks again, does not apply pressure. So now, okay, let's go back for a second here. Probably something super important that you guys did not pick up on just happened right there. Okay, watch. What's gonna happen here? So boom, missed the combo, just a little too far range. That's just inexperience on Larry's part. That's not a drop combo. He was hoping the low jab would hit. A little too far. Once he starts recognizing those distances, he'll learn to do a jump fierce in the low roundhouse directly or something like that. So here we go. Boom. Uppercut. Now watch here. So Larry does a good job here. Trade, sweep. Now doesn't do anything here. He kind of backs off. And Vi jumps away to get defense. He's jumped away from Larry here. But because he knows how Larry plays and he has this very strong read on Larry, watch what he does here. This is probably one of the most underrated concepts of footsies ever. Watch what Vi does here. Do you see how far he walked forward? He jumped backwards and walked without letting go of forward on the controller further than his backwards jump distance all the way into Balrog's range where he could low forward him. He had pretty much no fear at all whatsoever and got all the way in there. This is a strong read on Vi's part. So let me switch back to the screen here, just so you're not staring at a pause screen. This is very important. So this is a fundamental concept of footsies. I know a lot of top players understand this very well. I had it best explained to me by Campbell Tran, aka Bucktooth, through an article that he wrote for SRK, which he says, footsies are like rock, paper, scissors, right? I've mentioned this probably on an episode before. I'm going to repeat it here again. So this is a very important concept to understand. Footsies are about poking, with punishing, and walking forward. It's a Rochambeau game here, okay? If your opponent is controlling space by throwing out a lot of buttons, you go to with punishing. With punishing will beat lots of pokes. If your opponent likes to walk forward all the time and try to approach you, poking is basically going to beat that. Well, let me reword that because I'm going backwards. This is really confusing. So let me do that again. So poking, if you poke a lot, with punishing beats that, right? But then because you know that your opponent is trying to with punish you, they're not hitting buttons until you hit a button. So how do you beat with punishing? By walking forward. If you walk forward at the opponent and never touch a button, they're not touching a button because they're trying to whiff punish you. That gives you so much leeway to walk way farther forward than you normally would, right? How do you beat someone walking all the way forward? Is by poking a lot. If you poke a lot, then Vi is not going to walk that distance. But he's already established Larry doesn't touch a lot of buttons, and he also is a very avid whiff punisher. So Larry has that part of footsies down pretty good, that whiff punishing part. But he needs to work on the poking, and he needs to work on the walking forward. But we'll see that on the next playthrough of this match here. So let me go back here one more time. Okay, so back here is the match. And let's keep playing. So we just saw Vi walk a heck of a long distance. And now he's just dancing in this position. Because you know what? He's baited Larry into headbutts a couple of times. Larry also has an ultra. He knows Larry's reactions are good. So he doesn't really want to test him with a fireball, especially because he's detecting that Larry is charged. Larry is not walking, so he's not planning to throw out a headbutt. He's not planning to do any, well, he might headbutt, he might ultra or whatever like that. So he sees that right now. And, hang on a second. Okay. Gone. Okay. So here we go. He's just trying to get Larry to do something. And he's tested him enough, and Larry's not doing anything. So he walked up and caught him with that low forward to test him out a little bit. Still not doing anything. And then, he just read that moment perfectly. He read that moment perfectly. And it looked like a random headbutt again. But it's really hard to say that it is a random headbutt because that's 2 for 2 on Vi. One he blocked, and this time he focused it. Granted, I'm pretty sure what Vi was hoping he was going to do was just a rush punch or something. I think that's what he was trying to do. Doesn't matter. He can beat the headbutt anyway, right? So, there you go. So Vi just gets that situation again and is able to defeat him here. So now we go to the last round here. Vi basically understands that he's up 3 rounds to nothing. He's sitting pretty much on a full bar, and he says, you know what, I have him in the corner. Now is the time to go for the kill. I am going to just do everything I can to beat him up. So he's just walking forward here, chucking fireballs, walking forward, getting focuses, getting in there, drops his combo. Oh, and right there, that's a combo Vi's not good at, by the way, towards Fierce into standing forward. But he's up 3 rounds to 0. He's going to practice his combo. So he's practicing that combo in a real tournament situation that's not training mode. And you know what? He dropped it. So Vi's going to practice it some more in those particular situations. But he's not worried about it because he's still got all the momentum here. And look at this. He's just going to burn all this meter. Let's go back just a little bit so we can see a little bit more of that. So, whoops, I went forward instead. Okay, here we go. So this is the same round again where you're going to see Vi bait out the headbutt and kill him here. Alright, oh, and someone linked, Commander Pepper there linked Sonic Hurricane page. Madge did a lot of great Footsie articles. So if you get a chance, definitely read all of them because they're very, very informative. But here we go. Vi walks up, and like I said, he's got nothing to lose, so he's going to go crazy. He's going ham here right now. Gets the focus crumple, tries a combo, misses it, and immediately just goes in there and says, you know what, I'm going to burn all 4 of my bars. I don't care because my opponent is already, you know, against the wall. I'm going to put him at such a deficit right now that I know I've put Larry into a desperation situation here. So he goes for the cross-up Hurricane, misses it up, gets himself out of the corner here. And now Vi, again, 4th round in a row here. He is reading. You notice how in round 1, he ended with the headbutt, beat him. 2nd round, he did the headbutt at the end again, but he did the cross-up Hurricane and punished it. 3rd round, he ended with a headbutt and was able to focus attack it. So now Vi understands. So look at what Vi does. He does pretty much nothing. He's walking back and forth, and Larry got that sweep because Vi is doing nothing at this point in time. He's just blocking because he's just waiting for something. And as soon as he sees Larry twitch, you see he's blocked every single time. Just biding his time here, and there it is, right there. The Ultra. He wanted a deep EX uppercut, did it a little too early, whatever. Gets the hit here, and then pretty much at this point in time, it's kind of a foregone conclusion. Just goes for the uppercut to finish it off. So there you go. That's the match there from Vi's perspective. And I think it's very important to understand that because the only way to properly understand what Larry did wrong or what he could do right was to figure out why Vi was able to read him so well, right? And we saw that, and we kind of got a glimpse of what Vi was thinking for a lot of that match on what he was supposed to do. So now I want to go back one more time. Let's watch this video one more time. And this is really important. I mean, if you really want to get good, you do need to watch these matches multiple times. And the ironic thing, as I say that, is that I don't watch my own matches because I have so much trouble doing that because every time I watch myself lose, I want to go crawl into a corner and cry. And that's my fault. That's my own decision. I'm not doing that, so that's why I'm not getting any better. That's why I'm losing in Marvel. That's why I'm doing really bad. So, you know, I need to do this more. Edma used to get on my case about this all the time, but it's something I need to do. So, you know, we're going to watch this one more time after I take a quick break. And when we come back, I'll go through it pretty quickly so you guys can kind of get an idea of exactly what Larry could have done a little bit differently. So, okay, we'll be right back.